But there is a fine line, however, between being outraged, which is defined as righteous anger aroused by an act grossly offensive to decency and morality, and being mad. Mad is defined by Webster's dictionary as carried away by intense anger and completely unrestrained by reason and judgment. The challenge to the Tea Party movement at this time is to sustain the intensity of the outrage without crossing the line into mad anger. That's why our movement is ripe to be demagogued, both for and against, by unscrupulous people who could be in either party or no party at all, who choose to fan the flames of anger in the hopes of riding the groundswell either for or against what we are doing, sheerly for their own gain. It says something about the state of our elected leadership today and the lack of faith that people have in it, that these parties tend not to allow elected officials to speak. This is specifically because we do not want our movement to be hijacked by those who see in a crowd a vehicle to their own ends. That, to me, is what makes this all so refreshing. These are real people speaking today and real people attending today. And they are here with no interest other than the future of their country, not their political position, not their special interest. It is the authenticity of this movement and its heartfelt nature that has made it thrive. And as it evolves, we need to be extra careful. We are a bandwagon. We just need to be selective in who is doing the driving, that they are people of integrity. And I see that there are people that have come to exercise their constitutional right to protest for what they believe in. And I think that's great. I do. And I think that we need to be very, very careful when we talk about dignity. We cannot forget the dignity of those who disagree with us, yet are also passionate in their own beliefs. We have to separate the beliefs from the dignity of the human being, because when we objectify each other, as we have been objectified as hate mongers and everything else we've been derided about that isn't true, I caution all of us to remember the dignity of everyone. And I just want to tell one story. I was on a retreat, a White House silent retreat along the Mississippi River, and it was beautiful. God touched me, and I needed it, and I'm more grateful than you can even imagine. And he sent me signs there. At a silent retreat, you're not distracted by the thoughts of anybody else or what their little idiosyncrasies are. The only thing the other people on the retreat are with you are fellow retreatants seeking God. And one of the women on the retreat wore T-shirts every day. AFSME, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. And my first reaction to that was, oh, it's one of them. I'll just admit it. But then I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? She's seeking the same God, and she has dignity. So maybe it's just a little bit more complicated than that. And on the back of her shirt, the second day was Save Pontiac Prison. So she was a part of that union because they were fighting for jobs. And I think that we need to remember that. Let's not objectify the other side either, because it gets us nowhere. It may not be a message that y'all want to hear. It may not be the red meat that I kind of threw out at the beginning of the speech. But I think it's something important for the peace of this country and the unity of this country, and for this unit to be successful. It's what we need to do. We cannot objectify or oversimplify those who are genuine in their beliefs any more than we want that to be done to us. Challenging our ideas and thoughts like competition only makes them better. Forget the media. Go grassroots. Talk to these people. Talk to your children, your parents, your co-workers, your fellow churchgoers. And more than talk, listen. Let them too have the dignity of their opinion. This isn't the easy way to do this, but it is the right way to do this. As a final example, in the nation of Iraq, General David Petraeus came with a surge strategy, called it bottom up rather than top down. As all these groups that had historically hated each other, the Sunnis and the various branches of Shia, mortal enemies for decades and centuries, and yet they wanted their government leaders to get together and put together an agreement that would divide all of the oil revenues. Wow, that's a trick. And yet what they did to make peace and get rid of that hatred was to go person by person, block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, community by community, and those people reached out to each other and they found their common ground. And if we're waiting for NBC, it ain't gonna happen. If we're waiting for our elected leaders on Capitol Hill to do it for us, it ain't gonna happen. But if all the people here are sincere in saying what they believe, and they talk, and they listen, and they live by the dignity of the human being that they preach, then this movement can become something miraculous for this country. That is how a melting pot thrives. The Constitution provides the ground rules, visionary rules which have stood the test of time and represent the greatest hope and change the world has ever seen. That of a government of the people, by the people, for the people, which, God willing, will never perish from the earth, because we, the people, will not let it perish from the earth. The final note here is one of integrity. We must demand that those who serve us at every level understand that service should be humble. We must insist upon the highest standards for the people who run for office. Not that they have never made mistakes in their life, not that their closets are completely free of all skeletons, but rather that deepest within their hearts, their dedication to service is sincere, that they conduct themselves in a manner worthy of the office in which they have been entrusted, and that above all, the biggest interest that they serve is not themselves or their interest groups, campaign donors, or political parties, but that the interest they serve is a burning desire to do what is right for the constituents that elected them and for the broader nation and the system of government they represent under the U.S. Constitution. I'm honored to be in front of all of you patriots today. God love you all. God bless every one of you, and God bless America.